During 1558 to 1603 AD, Queen Elizabeth was in the reign over England. This era was called the Elizabethan Era. Roads and streets then were all made of raw dirt. Horse bowels were scattered everywhere. The bottom of people's pants and skirts would always be dirty from walking along the path. This was the kind of environment the people in the Elizabethan era had to face in daily lives. The people during the 15th century, surprisingly or not, actually bathed and cleaned themselves, though they were not the most hygienic. However, bathing were mostly seen as a form of sexual debauchery, an action to let the devil into the person and will severely make him or her ill due to the contact of the water on naked skin. Later, bathing became more popular after the spread of the bubonic plague. The people had finally realized that washing hands in warm water, wine, and vinegar, and being in a hygienic surrounding helped preventing the plague. The wealthy, including the kings, lords, and their household, bathed most among all the people. They bathed as frequent as one bath per 2 weeks. Some wealthy nobles have a special bathing room of their own, but most bathed all together in a huge wooden barrel brought into their rooms. The bath would be filled with warm water, sometimes perfume, scented oils, and flower petals would be added for relaxation. Many of the wealthy also enjoyed expensive soft soaps made of mutton fat, natural soda, and wood ash that were first introduced by the knights who brought them back from the Crusades. Because it was difficult to gather water in the barrel, some people, especially the poor, would enjoy the bath in the old water before it was thrown out. Other hygienic activities, such as beard washing with soaps and trimming beard for their neatly looks, were also preferable among the wealthy people. The middle class was in fact more concerned about hygiene than the wealthy, though they bathed mostly once a month. Their daily routine was to wash their face, neck, and wrists, especially before the meals. The soaps that were mainly used among the middle class were the heart and sheep soaps, made of olive oil, soda, lime, herbs, and flowers. Toothpicks were also widely used among the middle class. Then it all comes to the poor and the peasants, who made up the majority of the population in England during the Elizabethan era. To these people, sadly, hygiene was not at all important, and as a result, they barely bathed. These poor people mostly bathed 3 times a year. When they do, their shower would be a quick wash with the plain water and a rag. During warm months, they may have gone to the river for a quick dip. In the Elizabethan era, the dental hygiene for the high-class people was rather humorous because the toothpaste was sweetened with honey, which ironically caused a rapid tooth decay. Ludicrously, the middle-class dental hygiene was a lot more effective than the wealthy's. The people were all concerned about losing teeth. Thus, they cleaned them by rubbing a cloth with a mixture of herbs and ash of rosemary. Sometimes, they would also use powdered sage rub for teeth whitening. The dental hygiene during the Elizabethan era was also extremely excruciating. The only cure for a toothache was having the tooth pulled out violently using a plier without applying any kind of painkiller. Ouch! The lavatory during the Elizabethan era wasn't the most convenient either. Places like castles and monasteries would sometimes have a toilet called a garderobe or a privy. Garderobe or privy is a small empty room that includes only a wooden bench with a hole, or sometimes just a hole in the middle for a person to release their excess waste. The person then, after finishing his or her business, would wipe with straw, moss, leaves, or linen rags, and then simply walked away. The waste, once had gone into the hole, shoots down to a pit or a moat for the gongs to clean up. Some garderobes and privies were blocked off by a door, and some were out in the open. Here's the fun fact. There was, at some point, a time when the enemy used the garderobe as an entry to the castle from the outside. Yuck. Thus, the garderobes were later built with iron bars. The wealthy people who did not have garderobes or privies in their castles had an alternative to use a chamber pot, a bowl-shaped container attached with a handle, in their bedrooms. The maids would regularly empty their master's chamber pots in the morning. They would yell out, "Gardy-loo! Gardy-loo!" and then toss the contents in the pot out the window. The passerby who did not pay attention to the surroundings would often be covered up in nasty waste from the pot. There were no privies or garderobes for the poor and the peasants. Their toilets would be a bucket placed in the corner of their rooms. The contents in the buckets would later be tossed in the river. Unfortunately, these poor people had no choice but to take the water for cooking, washing, and bathing from the same river as the one they tossed their waste in. The hygiene of the people in the Elizabethan era was poorly taken care of. Fortunately, the later technology constructed many more convenient sanitary apparatus for the people in the modern days, for us. So every time, now and then, should you be grateful for the convenience in your own toilets.